Thank you so much for the warm introduction. Namaskar and a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries and friends attending today. It's our privilege and honor at Nomura Research Institute to be addressing such an august audience. My name is Harshvardhan Sharma and I lead the auto retail practice at Nomura. Later in our presentation, I'm going to talk, in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about what's been happening on the macroeconomic scale, what's happening to the sector, and what changes can we expect. We're just getting started, so there's an interesting lineup lined up today, and I hope that we'll be able to provide an interesting perspective for you all. With that, let me quickly talk a little bit about our organization. So Nomura Research Institute was established in 1988, and we draw our origins from Japan. But since 1965, we've been privileged to support many of the clients, industry stakeholders, across industries, doing a lot of consulting work in the automotive space, construction equipment, and off-highway included. We have a global presence and are based out of pretty much where our clients are, although our origins were in Japan. But over the years, we have developed significant presence across wherever the markets led us, including West, and East. And also in India, we are based out of Cyber City, Gurgaon. Glad to have a chat with you in case you guys are around. Talking about our offerings, so like I said, automotive is our key offering. And besides auto, we also focus a lot on industrial machinery. And we cover the entire spectrum of this sector. And within this sector, both on strategy and implementation, our focus has been on upstream, midstream, and downstream areas as well, including electric mobility, which and off-highway sector is not immune to changes in electric mobility and alternate powertrains. And some of that we've been also very actively working and supporting on. This is an illustrative list of some of our privileged clients that we've been working with, and glad to keep on engaging with all of you. And thank you for your continued patronage with this. For us, construction equipment off-highway is a very important sector. And incidentally, we have set up a joint venture with Komatsu. And this is a global joint venture where our role is to support the business model transformation, digitization solutions, and various other entities bring in digital twin computing, 5G IoT, distribution channel support, etc. kind of initiatives as that. We've been also fortunate to support a lot of industry associations, and we have been actively engaging with many of you during the course of these activities. So that was a little bit about us. And now coming to the important topic for today, what's happening on the macroeconomy and how does it impact us? So let me start with the good news first. The Indian economy is leading the charts. We are quite insulated from global occurrences. And while global economic situation seems to be a little dark for now, but as far as India is concerned, we are fortunately on the bright side of things. We have also seen over the last 3-4 weeks, China forecasts being written down 5%. I'm sure you were tracking Evergrande and how real estate market has begun to fall a little bit down than expected. But India, fortunately, is going to carry on forward. So whether you look at the NSE 50 index of the largest Indian 50 companies, strong, steady growth there. Also in terms of the industrial production, quite steady. Indian real GDP growth rate also is quite slated towards the north. And that's happening primarily because of a series of demand side and supply side factors, which are the underpinnings for our growth. So whether it's the strong demographics, whether it's the political stability, or the government initiatives, all of them seem to be working in our favor. And with the rise of population, urbanization, inclusion and connectivity, and at the same time, international trade agreements and ease of doing business, we should be able to weather well compared to our peers globally. In terms of ease of doing business as well, India has made significant 79 ranks improvement, and we expect this to further bolster our position. Similar is the case with FDI, very steady growth, and now with global markets opening, I'm sure with the +1 strategy, India is definitely going to be steady on the FDI side as well. Now, moving a little bit towards the regulatory side. So policy push on infra and transport sector has been quite positive, whether it's on emissions, whether it's on safety. And today, later, I think we are going to talk about TREM regulations and how that is becoming important. But what we've seen over the years across is that there is an increased reliance on the autonomy of the sector, and an increasing need, whether we saw recently with commercial vehicles, air conditioning becoming mandatory, safety norms becoming very heavy. With passenger cars, we saw Bharat NCAP. So such kind of orientation from the government helps us to be placed in a better global competitive situation as well. Moving on to our credit situation. So agriculture, mining, and infra, all of them have registered a significant growth on credit. And the repo rate also has been steady. So from an economic perspective, quite steady there as well. Fortunately for us, the commodity prices have also stayed constant, unlike what we saw probably during the Ukraine breakout, where we had a 70-75% escalation of commodities. Now it's quite steady. So if you look at steel rebar, aluminium, copper, palladium, all of them are steady. Also on the Brent side, it's probably a lucky day. Being a net importer, the impact is positive, and this kind of benefit should hopefully continue forward. Talking about the gross value added, again here, agriculture, mining, and construction are ruling the chart, and we expect significant outlays over here as well. What's also noteworthy is on the farm equipment side and agriculture side is the decline in average land holdings and shifting to market towards smaller equipment. So urbanization brings in positives, but at the same time, it shrinks the number of people who are into agriculture. And therefore, there is a need for better efficiency when it comes to agri equipment. So moving on, in terms of the regulatory outlay, whether it's the National Infrastructure Pipeline, whether it's the capital outlay, Bharatmala, PM Awas Yojana, and many other similar initiatives, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. Largely, the view from an economic desk is that we are expected to weather okay. And now with the general elections slated next year, the outlook is certainly expected to be further positive from here. I'll skip some of these CapEx related trends as well, but largely all of them also are likely to remain positive. Now coming to the current landscape of the sector. So we, as an industry, slowed down in FY20 and a 14% degrowth. However, for FY23, there was an 8% growth, and we expect this to continue till about 10% till FY30. We will continue to be the largest, the third largest construction equipment industry as of for now. And by FY30, it is expected that we will do about $25 billion of business. So that's a huge leapfrog when it comes to our situation. Coming to the market share situation, so the earth-moving equipment, again, no surprises, leads the pack here, 72% steady. So while these numbers are for FY20, but going forward also, there hasn't been a lot of rejig in this. And we expect this to continue as well. What is also noteworthy is mini excavators have gained traction, and we expect that due to domestic production by players, this sector will continue to grow even further. Moving on to tractors. So tractors, in fact, witnessed a dip in FY22 due to heavy sales and higher base effect. But we expect that the market will continue to grow by 8% in future as well. There's been significant growth in terms of subsidies and technological advancements also for the farm sector. There hasn't been a lot of shift in the player stacking as well. The 90% of the market is controlled still by top 5 players. Mahindra and TFA lead the pack. Mahindra recently we saw significant rejig in terms of their product portfolio, and we expect this as a welcome move and other manufacturers also to follow suit. What's been also noteworthy is that there's been a shift towards high and low HP tractors at the cost of medium HP tractors. And just like we've been seeing across these sectors, for cultivation income group, there is going to be an increasing demand for car-like features and better creature comforts inside the cabins. What's also important to note is that there's an increasing use of tractors in the non-agriculture applications, so whether it's haulage, loaders, excavators, dozers, which will mean reduced replacement frequency and reduced dependency on monsoons, and therefore a more steady demand in terms of the requirement for tractors. Coming to earth-moving sector, so backhoe loaders and excavators have the highest sales in 21 and are expected to remain highest selling by FY30 as well. Central government's push on road construction is likely to continue, and we will continue to see significant growth over here as well. Moving on to material handling, so pickup and carry cranes have a 95% of the equipment sales share here, and we expect no major changes in FY30 over here as well. What's been also happening, and which I mentioned earlier, is the premiumization of assets. So we've seen increasing share of if you look at the right side chart, the dark blue area. So this might further pick up, and we might obviously see better profitability ratios with this happening for our organizations as well. Talking about the trade data, so I'm sorry. So China still accounts for 38% of import for us. And if you look at the right side of the chart, so China, Germany, and Germany put together is still about 50% of our imports. So here, initiatives like Atmanirbhar Mission and improved localization activities should bring in some synergies, and therefore we might see some of this reducing. There's a significant introduction of initiatives, and also the industry body requested for PLI scheme to help. Hopefully, we should have this in the offing in future as well. Talking about the export destinations, so Nepal leads the exports, and we expect that the Southern Asia export, while might be decreasing for now, but should pick up with our increasing competitiveness. Again, on the cranes and material equipment side, we have maintained a 50% share of imports. Dumpers and loaders have been key export equipment for us. All right, so moving on to an interesting area about electrification and alternate power trends. So just like we've been seeing across other sectors, for construction equipment also, there's going to be a mix of features. We will have co-firing with hydrogen, we will have hybrids and electric. All of these powertrains, government's view is very clear that whatever it needs from the sector, such kind of infrastructure on fuels will be provided. So going forward, we will see all the options of powertrains available, and it's up to the asset utilization and the cost economics for the asset, how this pans out. So electrification, it's a no-brainer. It is going to be happening. The question remains at what price point and how much penetration we can expect in future is a function of battery, local manufacturing, supply chain, and rare earth materials. All of that we know. But what's interesting to note is that the sector is not averse to electrification. And unlike in other developed markets where it's a function of SDGs, ESGs, or compliance requirements, for us, it's mostly cost driven. So if the TCO checks out, we will definitely have a higher adoption in India. What's also interesting to note is that fractional ownership, rental, leasing, etc. kind of businesses are expected to grow and help contractors, especially most of them being over leveraged. Such kind of fractional ownership or shared ownership models we should continue to see in future. So with that, let's also quickly look at what's going to be the impact in future. So we forecast following key trends, and these are mostly forward-looking. So if they sound a little ambitious, that's all right. Just take it with a pinch of salt, because these are designed to be a little ambitious. So we are seeing rising in sustainability targets, cost pressures, and reduced margins, data-centric approach being drilled well, comfort and convenience, lack of financing for first-time buyers, scarcity of skilled labor, increased project complexity, growth of startups, emission regulations, self-reliance, and increased safety standards. Let me just talk a little bit about these. So the customer-centric product approach, I think most of us at OEMs have been doing this, and what's remarkable to note is that now our suppliers are common, our design philosophies are common, and therefore this has led to a commoditization of at least product side, and therefore there's an increased reliance on how a customer-centric approach on the downstream can have some differentiating effect and improve our market positioning. Second point is on consolidation and ecosystem play. Just like with any other developed sector, we are also likely to witness significant M&A activity, and some of it might lead to some inorganic growth at the construction equipment side as well. And digitization and advanced analytics also is going to significantly pick up stake. We used to talk about AI digitization for a while, but the difference between then and now is that it's happening as we speak. We've all seen regenerative AI, GPT engines being utilized in India as we speak. Commercial vehicle manufacturers are using it. I know some friends at Altigreen who are using it very regularly, and I'm sure construction equipment is no stranger to this. We will continue to see an increased reliance on AI and data monetization activities in future. We've also witnessed a growth of alternate fuels. So we've seen TREM 4 and then TREM 5. All of that came at a significant price point. But we expect, like I said, the alternate fuel journey to continue. And there will be a variety of options available as far as the supply is concerned. It's up to OEMs to choose whatever fits their bill basis, their customers, and their P&L situation. New ownership models, again, this has been there in a while, but we've seen based on our conversations with customers and with dealers that there is an increased reliance now that, hey, can I have a fractional ownership? I'm over leveraged on my balance sheet, and therefore such kind of initiatives are good. And lastly, on automation, as we all know, compared to our developed economies in India, we have way too many people per capita on construction sites, and there is a need for efficiency there. And now with automation, this is something which is a focus. If we can have efficiencies on the construction sites and overall build in more efficiencies. We've also seen retrofitment solutions, value chain integration, and human resource investment. Probably point number 9 is where the most important point I could focus on. Now with the sectors opening up, there are plethora of opportunities, startups, and better and improve the working conditions. And therefore, all of us need to come together to ensure that the human resource investments stay put and we continue to fuel them even further. All right, so with that, let me also very briefly touch upon how the future of construction is shaping up. So this is just at a concept stage, but we've been seeing this happening overseas. So there is going to be a sort of satellite approach where people are going to break silos, and the way construction or project management used to happen is going to change, which will mean better governance, better project management at our end, which will hopefully integrate with some of the assets which we offer to our clients. On the farm equipment side, it's pretty similar. We are looking at tractor as a service and how this can further improve the yields of the assets. Also, methodologies like QFD can help address many of these concerns. So these have been happening regularly, but what we've seen now is an increased reliance. People are doing more product clinics, more FGDs, speaking to customers and trying and getting more real-time value updates. And also for tractors as well, aggregation of pre-owned tractor market, just like passenger cars, that's something which has been happening as well. And also what's interesting to note is the income disparity and its key imperatives. So if you look at the top 10 agriculture households and look at the bottom 10 agriculture households, there's a huge disparity in their household incomes. And hopefully with better opportunities available, this gap would be less polarized than before. So with that, we've come to the end of the presentation. That's all I had for us today. Thank you so much for very patiently listening to me. And if you have any questions or suggestions or just want to chat up, some of us are here today. And I would love to have a chat with you. Thank you again and look forward to a great day with all of you. Thank you.